Well, welcome to the Minnesota Vikings podcast presented by Pepsi. I'm Gabe Henderson. That's Tatum Everett. And our special guest for today's show, he likes to call himself Mr. My Life is a Movie. His name is Cam Bynum, and one of the most interesting, but also one of the best stories on the team, just being a guy drafted late a few years ago, and now being one of our leaders on this defense. Just walk us through your offseason and getting to the point of getting that first win last Sunday against the Giants.
It felt like a long offseason. Just going from last year, we didn't make the playoffs, so it's kind of like a frustrating end to the season, and you're never satisfied unless you win the Super Bowl. And even at that point, I imagine people still aren't satisfied if they win that. So not making the playoffs really, it just left a fire in all of our minds just to come back and play hard and really prepare for this season. So it was a long off season of training and just a lot of work that came in, a lot of new guys on the team. So it was a fun off season being able to really join together with a lot of new players, especially on the defense, and really be able to make family with them. And now that we're here, training camp, we felt comfortable and got our first win and felt comfortable in that game. And it just felt like we've been playing together for a while. So I feel like the long off season and all the OTAs and the training camp and all the reps you get there really made us close to be able to set ourselves up to get our first win and to keep rolling from then on.
You've had a lot of newness as far as defensive coordinators, defensive coaching throughout your NFL career. So this consistency this offseason must have been great. However, then you add all these new faces as far as teammates go. So what did Brian Flores do, maybe per se, to try and get you guys to come together for such a great outcome that you guys had on Sunday?
It was a weird offseason for me, having the same scheme repeated. This is my first time being in the NFL and having not having to learn a whole new defense. So really the new learning thing for the coaches and for all of us as players that are returning was to try and take the new guys, whether they're old or young, take them under our wing and just really show them like the little small parts of the defense that aren't written down on paper, but certain things that you need to know. So I just think being around each other and being just having so much time in OTAs and having so much time in training camp, I feel like naturally everybody just gels together and you start to understand people as people, first of all, and then on the field. And that's why we were able to go out there and play so well, because we all understood each other and we felt like we've been playing together for a while. But I'd say really the biggest thing was trying to really teach the new guys of that our defense is a little unorthodox, so you need to understand this, and that, and how it's not really a normal thing, and there's a lot of unwritten rules that are in the defense. So understanding that was a big part.
Cam, I'm not going to let you go by and without saying you just called yourself an old guy. I'm not about to let that, but I get it. You've been here for a while, but like I feel like when you have a guy in Harrison Smith in your room, like you're always going to be the young guy as long as he's in.
That's still always going to be my
wait till he leaves,
Jedi master. That's always going to be the guy I look up to. Even having Gilly now, I'm just in there, just blessed to be around so many Hall of Famers. I had Pat P, I had Harry, and
what do you pick up from those guys?
Little small things, like especially from Harry. He's not like a super vocal go out of his way to tell you do this, do that. You ask him a question, he'll explain stuff in detail. You watch him. But for me, I just absorb so much knowledge just by sitting next to him in meetings, asking him little small questions, but mainly, more than anything, just watching him and how he operates. And now with Gilly being here, doing the same thing, just observing and asking, how do you see certain things? Because he's been a part of a lot of good defenses. Obviously, he's won a Super Bowl Defensive Player of the Year. So just asking stuff about his process, off the field, diet, little small things like that. I'm trying to steal every little nugget I can get. Exactly. So I'm trying to take everything, but it's just cool being able to be around so many, like I said, older guys, and it's making me feel like a vet because I've been able to get so much knowledge from people over my few years here, and also returning in this defense that automatically makes you feel like an old guy because we've been here last year at the start of this new defensive scheme that we brought in.
Love it.
When you mentioned Gilly, you're obviously talking about Stephon Gilmore, who came into camp a little bit later, and so he had to really catch on fast, which not hard for him as a veteran, super smart guy. What is his personality like in the locker room, in the meeting room with you guys?
At first, he seems quiet, but he's not super quiet. He just doesn't go out of his way to
Gotcha.
go out and screaming jokes around. But he's just chill. I just say chill. He's not quiet to where he just doesn't talk, but he's not super outspoken. And obviously, he's only been here less than a month, so I don't know him like that well yet. But he's for sure just a cool guy, a good guy, very humble, and somebody that's willing to teach people things, to answer questions, but also cool enough to joke around with IP, running around the locker room, messing with him. So he's still young.
I feel like Ivan Pace keeps the whole locker room young.
He does this year.
Okay.
Last year he didn't talk.
That's what a lot of people say.
Yeah, last year he was weird and didn't talk. He was super quiet. Didn't say anything. That out of nowhere this year.
It's like,
I guess when you have a good season, then you feel like you earned your way to talk. I don't know what it is because he balled out last year and now he's still playing super well.
He's comfortable.
But yeah, he got comfortable and now he's like a little kid in there.
So walk me through this, man, because about a year ago, San Francisco 49ers, week 7 last year, we talked about it. We called you the closer. You finished the game, 2 interceptions, the game-sealing interception, and then the story goes along. Your wife, she's trying to get her visa. That game kind of puts how would I put this? Not the request, but kind of the awareness on the map for people to say like, hey, this guy is trying to get his wife a visa so she can move to America. Now that she's here in America, which, that game kind of changed your life for the better.
Yes.
How has your life changed up to this point now having your wife here in the States?
Really, it's been exactly the same, except it's been very the same, but also very different because she's finally here. So she's able to just see my exact same process in person and being able to make my life easier here, having my wife here, doing little small things. Like I have dinner when I get home instead of me having to go cook dinner, then watch film. So little small things, but the beauty of it is that for football in my life, like as a professional, hasn't changed at all. And she's very understanding that I have to get my body worked on so much. I have to do my extra work after practice, so I'm getting home late. And she understands that. So and she holds me accountable for that also. So just having her there and not having to spend time on FaceTime, worrying about the time difference, that's the biggest difference. And it just made life easier being able to have her here in person to be able to support me, but also the fun of it, being able to have my wife here supporting and me not having to worry about her being in a whole different country also.
Well, now that she's been here a year and kind of understanding your lifestyle, what do you think she would say is the biggest thing that shocked her about the way that, the NFL lifestyle is during the season?
For me personally, how busy I am.
Yeah.
Just because the schedule is one thing, but the time you have to put in outside of the schedule, you see if it'll say 8 o'clock and we get out at 5:30, but I might not get home till 8 because I have to do certain recovery, certain extra work, and just that consistently, and that it's not just a few weeks here and there, but it's the whole season, and just how serious we take it and how big. And another thing is how big football was. She didn't understand that when she got here, because in the Philippines it's all basketball. So she's been in basketball arenas, but I told her
she can hoop.
No, she's,
okay.
No, she can dance.
She can dance. Yeah, she can dance. But I don't know about shooting a basketball. But seeing how big basketball is there, and I'm like, trust me, football in America is. Multiply that by 10. The stadiums are bigger. So her first game last year against New Orleans, remember it was the Josh Dobbs era too. So she came in, stadium was rocking. So she was able to see her win her first game, and I played well. So there's so many things that just really surprised her. Like, wow, football is legit, and she grew up not knowing what football was. So it was crazy for her to realize that it's huge.
Well, I hate to be a Debbie Downer here, but you did bring up that New Orleans Saints game, and the last win that the Vikings have had at home was that November 12th game against the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, man.
And thinking about that energy, I know. Like I said, I didn't want to be a Debbie Downer. But look, we have another opportunity to get back in the win column at home. Describe to our fans, right? Because the fans are going to be loud. They're going to be there. They're going to be energetic. But describe to our fans, what does that energy mean for you guys that are on defense that hear the crowd noise that's trying to, I guess, make Brock Purdy, miserable in this sense?
I think we just feed off that energy like crazy. So any fan that's thinking about coming to that game, if you're there, you guys better be loud, because for us, especially on defense, for offense, you guys be quiet, but on defense, when it's loud out there, we feed off that energy, and it's kind of like our backs are against the wall, like everybody's cheering for us, but we know we cannot give something up in front of our home crowd and be the person to let your fan base down. So that's I wouldn't say pressure, but that's the excitement in the home games of having it so loud. It makes it hard to communicate for us on defense. So imagine what it's like calling plays on offense, and they have those full sentence play calls on the offense that they have to call. They have to communicate, and we're rooting against them in our home stadium. So just imagine the pressure that it puts on them. So I think we feed off that energy like crazy, and just knowing that when you make the play on that third down or at the end of the game and it's rocking even more, that's when it's all worth it. So having that home field advantage, especially with the Viking fans and how passionate they are, that makes a world of a difference.
You know, it kind of surprises me when you do the player interviews in the locker room afterwards that you guys don't have hoarse voices after all of this. Like, you have to yell, you have to communicate across the field, and yet you guys never really have a hoarse voice. I don't know.
Sign
just
language.
thinking about that.
I don't know what it is, but
I don't know.
Sometimes there's some games where it will be, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
you guys are good.
Yeah, we might not be communicating well enough if we're not screaming that loud.
Yeah, maybe so.
We might have to do better.
Yeah, I got one last question for you, Cam. You came in here wearing your Situational Masters t-shirt, which I think is such a cool theme that you guys have this season. I know a lot of y'all are wearing the gear for it. Can you explain to fans maybe more in depth why that's something that you guys are living up to and what exactly how it came about?
Yeah, I think being a situational master is really just knowing what part of the game you're in and when to do certain things. So, for instance, different situations are third downs, red zone, 2 minute towards the end of the half versus end of the game. So knowing the differences in the game of how you should play in those certain situations and mastering those little small details, because you play cover two different on first and second down than you would on the third down. And being a master of those situations can be a game changer because those, they call them weighty downs. Those downs, those plays way more than just regular normal downs. So being a master of those certain situations is what really takes a good team to be great or a good player to take it to the next level and be great. And that's something you always want to master as a player in your own game, knowing, okay, this is how I need to do certain things at certain times, and then I can be great.
How has that evolved?
I feel like he could be a good coach.
For sure. Like, and which brings into my last question. Like, how has that evolved for you heading into Sunday?
Really, every single year, that's my biggest goal. I want to be a smarter player. And I look back and watch film from, for instance, last week against the Giants. I went back and we watched the games that we played in 2022, the playoff game that we lost, and watching that. And just seeing little small things that we do individually as people. And it's like, what was I doing there? What was I thinking? It's third down. Why am I that deep? Or it's a red zone. Why am I backing up? Like little small things like that where you might not – I wasn't a situational master then, but now that's second nature to know, okay, I'm a third down. I can't back up or else they'll catch it in front of the sticks. So certain small things like that, and you just see it over time. So that's the goal every single year, get a little smarter and master those little small details within the game.
Has Brian Flores been that difference for you?
Yes, I say Flo, but mainly my DB coaches.
Durante.
And Coach Hutch. Them two, especially for me, that I told them that's where I want to improve on my game, being smarter and being able to think like a 12-year vet, 13-year vet like Harry and like Gilly. I want to be able to have that mindset of knowing when things are coming, and that'll make my life a lot easier where I'm not just playing off of just instincts and physical ability. I want to be able to have the mental part of the game where that's easy so I don't have to move as much and your game will last longer.
I love it.
It's still so impressive that you came into this league as a DB. Like now you switched to safety. Cornerback,
yeah.
sorry. Yes.
Yep.
That you made that switch. Like,
yeah.
And
so,
look at you now, a situational master.
And you still play a little bit of corner when they ask you, which is,
yeah.
Cam, that's something that I always tell people is I always say, like, what separates Cam Bynum away from other safeties is his mental part of his game. Like, not the biggest person on the field, not the strongest person on the field, but for me, I've told you this off camera, that's what separates you, and ultimately I think that's what's going to keep you in this game a very long time. And I'm excited to see, some of that on film, on display this upcoming Sunday, and hopefully we get another closer the way we did last year against the 49ers.
I'm like, this is my game.
I love it.
Any games, this is my week.
Yeah,
so I'm expecting it, and I'm expecting a big game. I'm going to prepare for it, though.
Love it.